Good morning and welcome to the Prepared Mind channel. Thank you everyone here at Patreon. You've done a great job of supporting us, encouraging us to think, to look, to research, and then to bring you guys the information, share what we've got, let you make the decision. And this is really important. This video is about trust. Trust. Where does trust come from? What is it? It comes from thinking. Or it can come from blind obedience. Or thinking. If we choose for ourselves, we're thinking and we can develop trust. If someone is blindly obeying someone else's every word, that's obedience. Now, don't we think of them as pets and slaves versus people who are free and think? So, I've done a lot of thinking lately because I like to think that I'm pretty free, especially compared to a lot of the captured minds out there. But, I like comedy. I come to you guys and I try and bring an element of humor, right? A good hearty laugh, a cheesy smile, and some jokes. But humor, what is humor? Humor is seeing things that are right and wrong in our minds. It is seeing irony. It is seeing fallacies. It's seeing what others don't necessarily see right off the bat. You have an aha moment, and that's the punchline, right? That's the joke. That's when you get it. And how many times have you heard someone say a joke and they go, "That's not called for"? What does it do, though? What does the joke do? What does thinking do? It reveals truths. And through the capture of truth for ourselves, we can develop trust and belief in an idea or concept. I have come to you guys for years talking about shit hitting the fan. And I've brought you facts and information so you can pick through it yourself, find the truths, the veracity of it, and think about it, and have those aha moments where we get to say, yeah, I can believe that, I can trust in that, and therefore I can make a decision. Right? Now, comedy. Comedy requires thinking. I mean, how many times has someone told you a joke and you go, I don't get it? Every now and then someone will tell me a joke and I'll go, I don't get it. And I'm not a stupid person. But every now and then I'm like, oh man, how did I not see the joke? How did I not get that bit of truth through that? How did I not see the play on words, the contradiction in ideas, right, that made that humorous and funny? And when something is humorous and funny, it kind of tickles us. It tickles and stimulates the mind by asking questions and examining things and then finding those little bits in there. Right? That brings us joy. It brings me joy to look in the world and find out what they're doing wrong so that I can be sure that I have the proper belief, the proper truths, and I've come to the proper conclusions and I can trust my decisions. So back to comedy though. Comedy is a way that makes us smile. It's not the kind of, oh man, irony or the gee shit, right? That we get and we're going, shit's going to hit the fan. You know, damn it. But comedy makes us smile and laugh. And that's when I use humor and people go, John, that's uncalled for. That's not funny. The fuck it isn't funny. Humor is an element in our world that we need more of. Humor can be demonstrated through irony. It can be demonstrated through example. Criticism has a humorous element to it. Cynicism has a humorous element to it. Stoicism has a humorous element to it, right? There's different kind of comics. There's slapstick. There's observational. There's a fellow named Mitch Hedberg. I don't even know how to identify his humor. It's just odd. He passed away. I think it was drug overdose. Anyways, I like a kind of humor. I call it smarticism. Smartassism, right? But trust is revealed through an examination of ideas, and humor is a way to bring that out. Now, who doesn't want us to talk? The government, the left. There is no more making fun of fat people, gay people. We can no longer make fun of our own national origins, the country from which we're from, whether it's Sweden or Poland or France or England or Irish or Italy. Those are wrong. You can't make fun of anyone from Africa or South America or from China. Nope, that's wrong. No more Aussie jokes, right? No more down under jokes, and there's a couple of those. But why? Because it's funny, and it makes us laugh. It brings us joy to have humor. And it also makes us think. Oh, but John, they use stereotypes and foul language. No, humor is much more than that. Humor is much more than that. My sons both watched with me several times History of the World Part 1, a movie done by Mel Brooks. He is Jewish. He celebrates being Jewish. He makes fun of Jews, and he makes fun of everyone else. And he's good at it. You watch that and laugh, but guess what? My own kids go, Dad, they can't make this kind of humor anymore. You can't tell those jokes anymore. How does Mel Brooks get away with it? And I go, that movie was made in the early 1980s. Back when people had a sense of humor and they were allowed to express it. They were allowed to point at something and make fun of it, whether it's a politician or a movie star or a scientist. Anybody, especially celebrities, historical figures, can make fun of everybody because it brings joy. Now, Norm Macdonald is a comedian. A lot of people don't find him very comedic. I think it's because he's cynical and he's critical. And some might even, no, I don't even know if they go that far. But he's definitely a smartass. But his humor, he's still, right, to this day is hated for his gay jokes, his fat jokes, his sexist jokes. He makes fun of everybody and he doesn't care. And for that reason, he walks what they consider a very fine line. And everything he says is racist and bad and wrong. But is he lying or is he telling truths? Right? Is he pointing things out? Is he making fun of things in such a way that it reveals and causes us to think? Humor is important. Why do you think it has been taken from us? Humor has literally been taken from us. It has been replaced with hypocrisy. Listen to the left. They can point to me and go, you're white, so therefore you're a racist. You're white, therefore you're a white nationalist. You're white, therefore you're patriarchal. You're white, therefore you were a slave owner. I mean, they go off they profile, they point out things, but they're not the truth. Right? I'm none of those things. I am a white guy, yeah, but I'm none of those other things. But they want to point that out, and that's an ad hominem. It's an attack. But there's no humor in that. There's no revelation of truth because they don't have that. They can't point to John and go, oh yeah, he is all of these things. Humor is incredibly important. It's philosophical. Now, in the movie History of the World Part 1, Mel Brooks, when they're in ancient Rome, he goes to the unemployment window. And the lady says, what's your occupation? He says, stand-up philosopher. And she goes, oh, bullshit artist. Perfect, right? The lady, funny, great actress, nails it, right? She uses humor to point out, right? And call us what we are. Yeah, philosophers are bullshitters, but of the highest order. Right? Anyway, she makes fun of him. Bullshit artist. Have you bullshitted this week? Did you look for work to bullshit at, right? She goes through the whole litany. It's hilarious. And, philosophy, thinking, humor, jokes. They've taken it from us. You can't make fun of what? Anybody for anything because you're bully and you're bad. But they can bully the fuck out of us. They are hypocrites and liars. But as preppers, we need to continue to think. We need to philosophically examine everything for truths so that we can come to conclusions in a belief system and have trust in what we know. And humor will continue to be an important part of that. It has to. I mean, going back to Norm Macdonald again, they asked him, how do you do humor anymore? He goes, well, I've got an audience with 100 people in it. and one or two of them will be offended at my jokes. So the audience lets you know what's funny. And comedians across all times have said the audience will let you know when it's funny. The audience will let you know when you've gone too far. But now in an audience of 100, you have one or two that are offended at everything. And so the other 98 are restricted by the outrage of those two. And so the comedian can't do his job. He can't be funny. He can't perform. The thinker can't perform. The philosopher can't think because of the one and the two that object to everything. Do you understand where I'm going with this? We are being controlled by a small minority, in other words. And their objections at everything is silencing the world. Right? They don't want to hear political talk on YouTube. They don't want to hear news. They don't want to hear about violence. Right? They don't want to hear how they're hypocrites and how they're being exposed and how they're liars. They meaning the social media platforms, giants, politicians, lawyers, and other hypocrites out there who are stealing our rights and stealing our money. Right? So Norm says, yeah, I have to build jokes that don't offend those two. So, how can you be funny? So in other words, what does he do? He's one of the few comedians that tells jokes and doesn't give a shit. Bill Burr is another comedian who doesn't appear to give a shit. But he rides that edge, and he's pushing back, in other words, on these edges. Right? If the left can make everyone conform to their thinking, scare them to death, by calling them names and shaming them constantly. Oh, you're a racist. That was a racist joke. No, it was a funny joke. Right? That's a homophobic joke. No, it's funny. That was a Swedish joke, and those are the worst. No, they're funny. Please, share Swedish jokes. Right? I'll put myself out there. I don't care. Make fun of Germans. Oh, the Nazi jokes are hilarious. The real ones, like, how do Nazis do their laces, or Germans do their laces? Well, they tie them in little Nazis. I mean, those kind of jokes are hilarious, right? But you can't make fun of Jews. You can't make fun of blacks. You can't make fun of whites. You can't make fun of gays. You can't make fun of everybody, anybody, women, men. You can't. Humor is critical to thinking. It stimulates and encourages the mind to think, because we find humorous, comedic truths, and there's value in that. In Shit It's the Fan, we are going to be in serious trouble. There is going to be less of everything and more of the things we don't like. Don't you think it would be nice to have a humorous and active part of the mind that understands humor and sees humor in things? Right? The guy falling in the mud. Why isn't that funny? Oh, because it was a transsexual that fell in the mud. No, it's funny because a person fell in the mud. Right? They politicize everything and shame us into not enjoying life. Enjoy life. Slip on a banana peel. A pie to the face. Right? A wedgie. Funny. Oh, I know a guy that had his testicles cut off because of a wedgie. That's not funny. No, it's funny. People get hurt and die all the time. It has nothing to do with humor, unless the joke is an integral part of it. Like, what's the definition of mixed emotions? Well, your mother-in-law driving off a cliff in your brand new car. Right? That's funny. It involves a joke about somebody dying. It didn't really happen, but it titillates us. It stimulates the mind. It's funny. Right? Pick a president, any president, I don't care. Right? Bill and Hillary Clinton. Why was Hillary Clinton always on top during sex? Because Bill could only fuck up. Right? You can do that with any politician at any level, anywhere. It's hilarious. Humor. Mel Brooks brought us humor. Eddie Murphy brought us some of the best humor ever. Bill Cosby brought us humor. Bill Cosby brought us humor and a roofie and a drink. Right? You got to watch those Bill Cosbys. Joke. Right? It's a joke about him raping women that he's drugged. It's still funny. We've got to get our humor back. We've got to get our language back. We've got to get our free speech back. If we're going to try and mitigate or keep shit as the fan as minimal as possible, we've got to have humor, and we've got to be able to say what we want, when we want, how we want. And the people around us will let us know. If one person is offended at something you say, who gives a fuck? If everyone you just said something to says, bad, wrong, okay, now you found that you've gone over the limit. Don't kill the person that said something like that. But yeah, they'll figure it out. Nobody liked that. Knock it off. Okay, if I say something and 1 out of 100 doesn't like it, or 10 out of 100, hey, what's wrong with you guys? Everyone else thought it was funny. Everyone else saw the truth in that. The humor in that. To criticize something, you point out a flaw in something that was said. And you snicker. You're like, yeah, that's right. What an asshole. Right? Like when we talk about Antifa that says that no one should be allowed to talk unless they agree with them. They're fucking hypocrites. We just criticize them. It makes us laugh. Yeah, you little fucking hypocrites. And we get it. We understand. And there's some humor in there. Right? Being cynical. Fucking government doesn't get anything right. I make a joke out of it. The only thing you can count on government doing is fucking things up. That is a cynical observation that is also funny. It's cynical because they must do something right, and I'm still poking at them. They must do something right, don't they? Oh yeah, they're great at stealing other people's money and wasting it. That's a cynical joke. It's a criticism of the government, and it's funny. It's funny. Someone asked me the other day, and this has come up several times, why is it that young men are identifying as women, right, claiming to be women, wanting a sex change? Well, it's because they're tired of always being wrong. Well, they figure once they change over to being a woman, they can be right again. They can be accepted. They can be good. Right? That is a cynical view of why these young men are doing that to themselves. And it's also humorous. It's like, holy shit, I never thought of that. The reason they're claiming to be women is so they can quit being fucking villains. Are you kidding me? It's possible. Maybe for some. Who knows for all. Certainly, they get to claim victim status as well as victor status. I'm a girl now. Right? And because I had to become a girl, I'm a victim. But I thought being a girl was good, except, right? And you can look at the whole thing with a critical eye. And you can demonstrate it with humor as well as facts so that people can find the truth and stimulate their minds. Like I said, I like to bring a unique perspective to everything. Everyone and anyone can report the news and look at stuff and go, that's bad, that's bad, that's bad. I like to bring a new way to look at it as much as I can. And believe me, this type of thinking that I'm telling you about is exactly what I try and do. Because it pleases me, it brings me great joy to think, to find humor in things. Not to be a cynical, critical, stoic assholio, but to actually think. To be free, in other words, and to establish truths. Now, I'm sure there's a communist out there somewhere that could find all kinds of communist problems with what I just said. And I don't give a fuck what they think anymore. If I ever did give a fuck what communists think. Once again, the left. Hypocrites extraordinaire. I mean, off the charts. Hypocrites. Liars. Murderers. Communists. And half of our government is claiming to be that and wanting more of it. How much more truth and facts and understanding and belief do we have to have about where this country is going? To hell in a handbasket, right? A humorous expression, right? This is where we are truly at. We've got communists who hate our Constitution and our rights, telling us we're wrong for finding humor and for pointing out their hypocrisy and for being critical and cynical about them and government. Anything they say should be disregarded. They tell you that's not funny. Yeah, it was funny, just not to you because you're a communist. And call them that. It is time to call these people to the fucking carpet. If we don't start standing up for our rights and ourselves and saying, I'm not an evil bastard because you say so, a communist, a socialist does not get to tell me I'm wrong and bad. I am a free man in a free country with rights under the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, all the way and so on and so forth as an individual. Right? Mel Brooks, what a great comedian. What a funny Jewish guy. I should be able to say he's Jewish because he says he's Jewish. He makes Jewish jokes. I should be able to make Jewish jokes, don't you think? Right? I've watched all of his movies. They're hilarious. Right? Watch Blazing fucking Saddles. Blazing Saddles, great movie. Racial jokes throughout. Watch all of his movies. Racial Spaceballs, right? The princess is from the planet Druidia. John Candy looks at the camera and says, funny, she doesn't look Jewish. I mean, it's just hilarious. Why can't we have that? Because it encourages the mind to think. And the people in charge, the would-be people in charge, academics, entertainment stars, the media, they don't want us to think. They don't want our minds stimulated. And they want to be able to silence you so everything you say is wrong. Right? That's a stereotype. That's profiling. Wait a minute. You look at me and go, that's a white guy. Then you stereotypically say, well, he must be a white supremacist. The very things that they want to stop us from doing, which is thinking and coming to logical conclusions, they have adopted for themselves, and they come to conclusions based on a preconceived notion they have because it fits their social and political agenda so that they can take control of this country and cause shit to hit the fan even worse, and we'll end up with a genocidal maniac in the White House, genocidal Congress, and a genocidal law enforcement and military. That's what these people want. The reason I can say that is what history has demonstrated social communists do, and social fascists. You better learn and see the humor in it, and start making jokes and start telling people to just shut up when they don't like your jokes. I don't think you're very funny, John. Shut up. And you can add whatever any other descriptive terms on there if you want, like bitch or asshole. You can add that to the end of just shut up if you want. But I also have to say, hey, you want to be responsible for your own life, you also have to accept the consequences. You can lose your job. You can piss off family members. You can be ostracized from an organization. But if they want to silence me and what I do, causing them to think, don't go anywhere yet, causing them to think, then they want to be mental slaves. They want to be mental midgets. Right? I love that term, mental midget. Right? Small. S-M-all. All right. And on that note, I'm going to let you guys go. Chance favors the prepared mind. Chance favors the humorous mind. Chance favors the thinking mind. Is yours. Right? Shit hits the philosophy. SHT Filosophy. Oh my gosh. Semper Fi. Godspeed to all. I'll talk to you soon.